Man, this is iconic! What does that even mean? Icon. Noun. A devotional painting of Christ. Oh, okay, not that one. A person or thing regarded as a representative symbol or as worthy of veneration. Veneration. Noun. Great respect. Right, okay. So, Google says iconic is something that's very representative of other stuff or worthy of respect. I feel like it's usually both, but one could sometimes get away with just being one. And then people are like, well, I think it's good and you admit it's memorable, so it's iconic. Iconic equals good, checkmate, chump. Now that's dumb, but I do want to see where the line in the sand is. Obviously, any reference to anything being good or bad in this will be subjective, as goes for all. But iconic is a weird word because it feels like it breaches that because other people try and attribute it only by counsel because it's going to be more true if others agree with them. But I guess that goes for any word with those kinds of people. So yeah, iconic is a thing you'll have to decide on yourself. The Simpsons Hit and Run is iconic because I say it is. You might say it isn't, which might be because it isn't for you, in which case, yes, you're right. We're both right, even though we're saying different things. I'm sorry, now I'm explaining subjectivity like we're all children. Let's move on. Okay, so iconic is a personal thing because it's subjective in nature, but why is it iconic? What actually makes it that? People sometimes say stuff is iconic because when you think of one thing, like the system it came out on for example, you'll think of the game, and that's because it's so iconic. So like Super Nintendo, Super Mario World, Nintendo 64, Mario 64, the Wii Sports. Well, wait a minute, that sucks! I mean, Wii Sports is a great game, but surely that slot should be taken by something with a fuller, more rich experience, like Mario Galaxy or something. I mean, I do think of Wii Sports when I think of the Wii, but... So? What are we, just attributing legendary status to games out of word association? It's gotta be more than just how memorable something is. It is more. Let's say this. What's more iconic, Mario 1 or Mario 3? Now when I think of the NES, Mario 1 jumps out for sure, but I think Mario 3 is more iconic. So like, why then? Well, I guess maybe now we're mixing wires. Mario 1 is for sure an iconic NES game, but relative to all gaming, is it iconic? Well... maybe? Is it just something that's memorable? Something you associate that represents something else? Something more than a game? Can it be something that's bad? Is something like Sonic 06 iconic because it represents the worst in gaming? I feel like... no. I mean, maybe ironically. Or, that's a bad way to put it. Iconic in being enjoyable, but only out of malice. I'd still put that in its own version of quality though, just kind of a warped one. Because even then, it's still something that makes people happy, even if it's out of ridicule. Because, you know, something that's so boring that it doesn't make any positive impact isn't going to be remembered as iconic, if at all. Of course, you could say it's an iconic bad game, but iconic game in general? No. Not for me. So memorability, with a little mix of good? Or what if it's just good? Can something be iconic on that alone? Something that's fan-freaking-tastic, but you tend to forget about? I'm not so sure. See, something that gets me is, like, the Super Mario Bros. Overworld theme. Iconic, right? Right? I mean, it is the song you think of when you hear video game, but does that make it an incredible song? I mean, is it even that good? Yeah, whatever, it's fine, but if Koji Kondo just by chance made a slightly different song, and that were the song released as the main theme you hear in one of the most impactful games of all time, wouldn't that one be just as remembered? If it happened to not be the song that's been adapted and remixed and redone a million times in like every single Mario game, and if in this new timeline, our timeline's version, were composed and released for the first time to their virgin ears as like a later levels theme in a mobile app store's game from a no-name developer for 99 cents, would that theme end up as iconic as the one in our timeline? Hell no! So like, okay, I don't want to attack Mario's legacy. The song is great, but If given the opportunity, it could have easily fallen into obscurity. But does that matter? Can something get away with only being good and fall into iconic status? I don't know. It really doesn't matter that much, but I feel like for something to be truly iconic, it's gotta overcome being forgotten because it's just that good. Which I guess makes it even harder for stuff that's gonna be remembered either way, just out of circumstance, but like, you know, sucks for you. I think maybe iconic is even just the opposite of being remembered out of circumstance, but being remembered specifically for its quality and sticking out in history for that, next to other things that may be great, but not quite as remembered. Something that spites the passage of time and remains in the minds of people because it's just that good. Memorable for how good it is, specifically. So let's play word association again. Super Nintendo? Yeah, I'd say Super Mario World's one of the best 2D platforms of all time, so even in spite of having the cards stacked in its favor in terms of memorability, I think it sticks out nevertheless as being supreme in quality. Nintendo 64? Huh. Well, personally, I don't think Mario 64's held up that well. The controls are a pain in the butt, a lot of the level design is just annoying, so I don't really think I can think of it as iconic. The quality certainly doesn't outdo its insanely privileged status of being the first big, fully 3D game with a controllable camera, as well as a launch title for Nintendo's first 3D system. Any game that filled that status would be well remembered. But how about Banjo-Kazooie? To me, it's a better game, one that still holds up today. And hell, the series went off a cliff very quickly, so it's not like it's riding the coattails of a massive franchise. And in spite of the series going so sour, for gamers it's essentially a household name. Not because it was the first to do what it did, not because it had so much advertising you couldn't not see it if you were trying to, but because it is a finely produced piece of software that made for a really special experience. Now, it could be argued that just because something hasn't aged well, that doesn't take away from the experiences that were so eye-opening at the time. But if the experience could have been interchangeable, then maybe it wasn't the game that did that, and maybe it was just a huge technological leap to 3D games. Maybe that doesn't matter though if the game's still kinda good and represents that huge leap for you. Of course, you might just think Mario 64 is a kick-ass game on its own merits and that it is iconic, and absolutely, in that case, it is for you. And last on our list, Nintendo Wii. Super Mario Galaxy! Hell yeah, get in there, boy! And then, of course, I guess we could talk for a second about stuff that's iconic in relation to stuff that's more specific than just video games. So, bad games, sure. Sonic 06 is iconic. Motion controls, No More Heroes. Pet games, Nintendogs. It's no longer just word association because the thing is filling out the quota of whatever you're associating it with and doing it well. Even if what it's doing well is badness. Relatively. But something that's a truly iconic video game, I think, goes against the grain of memorability. Something that almost has no right to being as memorable as it is, but happens to be because it's just that good. I guess the only issue is when trying to take the status of iconic and say, no, not just iconic to me, but iconic for everyone. Which is maybe tempting because the word partially means that the thing is a representative symbol, but yeah, no, that's just dumb. So it's like an equation, I guess. Quality of game relative to games of all time, take away unearned memorability, all to the power of you. Yeah, that sounds about right. So, what is iconic?
What are you doing?
It sounds like Toad conducted this.